It's Monday night, and you know what that means. Jersey First TV proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And I am New Jersey's premier and now 7-time award-winning journalist, top 100 Latino via the Latino Spirit online magazine, and certainly the Garden State's most visually appealing conservative. Yes, it's me, Fernando Uribe, ladies and gentlemen. Hoping you're having a wonderful week. It is League of Municipalities week in Atlantic City. I look forward to seeing many of you later on tomorrow night and into Wednesday night for a lot of parties, open bars, networking events. And of course, for all of you who are fans of the show, come up and say hi. And for those of you that don't like the show, well, you know what? You know where to find me too. All right. So I'll leave it at that. And so I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so right here on Jersey First. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, make sure you check out all of our great social media feeds. Make sure you like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on Facebook as well as my own page. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at the Fernando Zone. And certainly make sure you follow Jersey First TV on YouTube. And check out all of our episodes now on Spotify and on SoundCloud. They're easy to find. They're easy to download. And folks, you'll enjoy them wherever you listen to podcasts every single day. And of course, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so this on the 14th of November. Certainly a very hectic and chaotic election week, to say the least. Nice to see Republicans win the House. I thought the Senate was a little bit of a jump ball, as they say. But it's okay, folks. You know, it's not all is lost. I was very, very happy to hear about all the important Board of Education races and parents that won during Election Day, and hopefully trying to make sure that school boards don't get out of control with all the woke nonsense that's permeating throughout the state of New Jersey. But of course, folks, check out all of our episodes when you can there on all of our social media. And folks, again, the reason this show continues to do exceptionally well is not just because of yours truly, obviously with the important guests that I interview. And of course, folks, make sure you stay tuned because at the very end of tonight's broadcast, we will announce this week's winners of the worst journalist in the state of New Jersey. Once again, there are 3 of them, and I have a lot to say as we get close to Thanksgiving. Yeah, there's about 3 turkeys. I'm going to enjoy cooking later this evening. But first, folks, of course, we have a double main event for you this evening. Joining me live from Atlantic City, and folks, wouldn't you know it, a guy who is loved by everybody and in the know right now in New Jersey politics. I can't say enough, folks, about, quite frankly, how important he has become. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the distinguished mayor of the city of Belleville, folks. The Honorable Michael Melham joins us tonight on Real Talk. Mayor, how are you?
I'm doing well, Fernando. Thank you for having me.
All right, Mayor, it's great to have you on here. And certainly, folks, if you're not familiar with the city of Belleville, great place to live in Essex County, accessible by almost any major road when you think about it, whether it's Route 21, Route 3, the Parkway, near the Turnpike, folks. It's an up-and-coming city in Essex County, and their distinguished mayor joins us here tonight. A lot of good restaurants, by the way, in Belleville, Mr. Mayor.
A lot of great restaurants. Anytime you're around, we have the legendary Belmont Tavern, known for their chicken Savoy. We have some great restaurants in Belleville.
Absolutely. Now, Michael, if I can call you Michael, that's okay. Sure. I just have to say, though, you know, for a lot of people that get involved in politics, obviously, even as an independent, you know, New Jersey is such a really blue state, and there are pockets that are a little red or purplish, as we've come to know. Being a mayor of a very large city in New Jersey and not having an affiliation, that's news to me, and I think it's been news to a lot of people in New Jersey. But before we get to that, what really drew you to politics?
I mean, I had an interest in politics from an early age. I can remember being a teenager and just having an interest in national politics and paying attention. I was probably one of the more knowledgeable or educated teenagers into my high school years, into my college years. I chose not to seek that as a major when I went to college. Instead, I went to communications with a minor in broadcasting. But I just always had an interest in politics on the national level. And then even I got a little older into college, even somewhat more the international level as well.
Any favorite presidents growing up? Obviously, you're a reader of history like I am. Any presidents that really just commanded your attention?
I mean, I have to say that probably Ronald Reagan. I had the ability to grow up as a youngster watching Ronald Reagan. One of my earliest memories, actually, of being home from school sick. and watching on a black and white television in our kitchen. And that was the day of the assassination attempt. So I was able to actually watch that live as a youngster on a black and white TV with little antennas. And I like Reagan because, you know what, he was a Democrat, he was a Republican. By today's standards, he'd certainly be a moderate, I think, with some conservative principles, and that's something that I was really drawn to.
When you talk about moderates, I mean, John F. Kennedy right now is rolling in his grave, Michael, thinking about what's happened to his Democratic Party going on 60 years now. So, but we'll get into national politics a little bit later. But keeping it local in Belleville, it's interesting though, Michael, because again, you're an independent. And New Jersey, by and large, yes, when we talk about mayors, we think about mostly Democratic mayors, right? In the larger cities,
Sure.
where I live in Hudson County, the nearby city of Jersey City, it's pretty much as blue as Windex here. I mean, every town is run by a Democrat, essentially. Nearby Bergen County, almost the same dynamic, even though, for example, in Paramus, I know there was a flip last week. So that was interesting, good to see that in Paramus. But by and large, whether it's Newark, Jersey City, Elizabeth, New Brunswick, Camden, Trenton, Atlantic City, I mean, it's basically all Democrat-run cities by those mayors. You're an independent. And I think we've spoken before off the air, had the pleasure of meeting you at an event in Hackensack over the summer. It seems like you really have come to represent the essence and really how important it is to be bipartisan, because you'll work with anybody.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's interesting to note that, yes, while I'm an unaffiliated or an independent, as my registration stands by my voter registration, the township of Belleville, where I govern, is actually a nonpartisan town. So our elections are not held upon party lines. That's why we're elected in May. We do not go through a June primary. We don't have a November general election. So we're a nonpartisan town, which is not unlike many towns. Most people don't realize this, but the largest city in New Jersey, the city of Newark, you think of that as always having a Democrat mayor. Well, they're also a nonpartisan town. Their elections are in May. Patterson, the number 3 largest city in New Jersey. Mayor Andre is a dear friend of mine. He's a Democrat, nonpartisan, elected when I'm elected in May. So not every single, even though you might be a large city or a large municipality in New Jersey, you don't always have those party elections. But I agree with you. It's not easy governing as an independent because, as you so eloquently stated earlier, it just seems like everything goes down party lines, whether you're Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whether it's the county machines that get involved, even your legislative districts, your legislative leadership, your congressional leadership, everything goes right down party lines. And in New Jersey, for the most part, where we are in northern New Jersey, it's all Democrats. So I tell people all the time, being an independent mayor, people think it's great. You have friends on both sides of the aisle. And I say, yeah, you really don't have friends on both sides of the aisle. You're a independent mayor. You walk down the center of the street and you often get hit by cars on both sides.
No, absolutely. And again, case in point, I know last year going into the hotly contested gubernatorial election, and I'll tell you right now, I'm someone, Mayor, where I was the only journalist in the state on record saying that, hey, this gubernatorial election is going to be a lot closer than people think. It's not going to be a sort of a walk-off for Governor Murphy. I said Governor Murphy. I get confused sometimes. It's a Freudian slip there, folks. But it seemed a lot of people thought the emperor was going to have just walk away with a 10-point win. And I said, folks, there are pockets of New Jersey that are very unhappy with how the governor handled COVID, the way he shut down businesses, the way he handled it. I think, folks, here's a newsflash, right? The left that I love to go after in New Jersey is all about science. Well, we're learning about science that freedom-loving states like Florida, and congratulations to Governor DeSantis, thankfully, up for another 4 years. And the freedom-loving state of Texas, congratulations once again, thankfully, to Greg Abbott in Texas for another 4 years there. They got it right when it came to COVID. Not Phil Murphy, not Andrew Cuomo, clearly not Kathy Hochul, not Ned Lamont in Connecticut, not the Pennsylvania governor. It just seemed like I told people, Murphy's going to have a problem. I wasn't in love with Jack sometimes. There were some things about his campaign I would have done differently, but I said, Jack's going to give him a run for his money. And sure enough, I was the only one that said, hey, I think the emperor is going to squeak out a 3 to 4 point win. And people are like, Fernando, you're crazy. I got so many dinners. I got so many drinks coming my way tomorrow and Wednesday at the league, Michael, because I'm going to cash in on that. I was the only one that said that. I think people were really, really oblivious to the fact that the governor really was running the state into the ground. He won re-election, but by the skin of his teeth. And you endorsed Jack Ciattarelli and you got a lot of grief for that. Take me back through that entire process and all of the vitriol that I knew you were getting.
Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about that. Let me just say, from the beginning, people asked me, how did it come about? Where did it come from? I did not know Jack prior to the election, but what Jack did, which is something rare for candidates. He reached out. Jack reached out, and I remember the first time we went to dinner. He came to Belleville, and we had dinner in Belleville. I sat down with him. I looked him in the eye. We had frank conversations about several different wide-ranging topics. Listen, there was no secret that I was frustrated at times with Governor Murphy, and I was certainly frustrated at times with the Murphy administration and how they treated Belleville. Belleville's a 48,000 population community, a 48% Hispanic community, and I often say that we're a beige community. We're not as urban as the city of Newark is, but we border Newark. And I was not happy with the way that Belleville was treated during our lead water line crisis and our water crisis that Newark went through. And I compared how the governor's staff and how he reached out directly to the city of Newark. And many, many times I said, governor's office, residents of Belleville drink the same exact water. How come we're not getting the help that Newark is getting? And it just kept falling on deaf ears all the time. And that was one example. I can't say that I make major decisions like that just based on one disagreement. But there was more than one there. And when Jack reached out, you boil me down. I'm a moderate. I'm a centrist. Some would say that I lean probably more right than left. I've never been a registered Democrat, contrary to some bad journalism that you might have seen. I've never been a registered Democrat. I was for some period of time, though, a Republican, and grew up basically a conservative Republican. And when Jack reached out, I just said, you know what? It seems like New Jersey is ready for a guy like Jack. Yeah, he's not way right, but he's certainly not way left. And I saw something that was very unique in our community, our Hispanic community. Given the opportunity, I had a strange, sneaky suspicion that they were going to break for the Republican. And they're not really registered Republicans. And I have to say, they probably would vote Democrat most of the time. But when the Democrats take things way too far to the left, they will springboard you back to the center. And we saw that in the election results. Jack came close. Jack did much better in Belleville than Murphy did 4 years before that. And, Belleville Hispanics spoke. And I think that that's a larger picture needs to get looked at by both the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. Hispanics in New Jersey are in play. You want to take the state way left. Hispanics going to have a problem with that. And I think we saw that. And I think it did spook some of the Democrat Party when they saw those results come in last November.
Absolutely. And by the way, when you mentioned about bad journalism in New Jersey, you're kidding. That exists, Michael? Bad journalism in New Jersey? No way. No way. Oh, please. Of course. I'll talk more about that later tonight. But folks, if you're just joining us live right now, it's 6:14 here on the East Coast on Jersey First TV via StreamYard on Facebook Live, as well as on the Jersey First YouTube page. My guest this week is the distinguished mayor of Belleville, New Jersey, the Honorable Michael Melham, joining us here tonight. Folks, it's a double main event. We got a great guest coming up at 6:35. You want to stick around. And once again, also this week's winners of the worst journalists in the state of New Jersey, a jam-packed show to say the least here. Michael, you talk about, again, sort of the appearance of being bipartisan. It's interesting because, you got a lot of grief for a picture with Jack and endorsing Jack. And just last week, right, you're taking a picture with U.S. Representative Mikey Sherrill, sort of arm wrestling the former Air Force commander. I'm sure you got grief for that as well. So you can never win by being down the middle per se. As an independent, you'll get grief from both sides. But that's not the way you govern. I've looked at your record. I've looked at the way you govern in Belleville. Again, I think you're a very pragmatic mayor. And that's important. You don't fall into this whole woke nonsense. You're not trying to engage in propaganda. It just seems like you're a very practical and pragmatic politician. I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in the most complimentary of fashion.
Thank you. So you're absolutely right. I got flack for the Jack thing, a lot of flack. I get some flack when I do step out, when those view some of my actions from my photo ops as political or as partisan, I should say. So you're right. Last week I was arm wrestling with Mikey Sherrill. She was in Belleville, and you know what? Just like with Jack, Mikey's staff reached out. And she reached out early on. I welcomed her as I would have any candidate that was coming through. So interestingly, for those who aren't up, Belleville was in the 8th congressional district. So we had Albio series. And during redistricting, that got shifted around. So we had no representative come after the November election. So we did not know who our representative was going to be come this January. So we had Mikey Sherrill, who kind of got put into that district. And Mikey Sherrill had a challenger. Mikey Sherrill reached out. Her staff reached out. Interestingly, and I've had this very frank conversation. There's no secret about that. I am an independent mayor, registered independent of a nonpartisan town. And I'm somebody who's a mayor in Essex County who endorsed Jack Ciattarelli. Well, guess what? The Republican that was running for Congress in our district never even reached out. No phone call, no message on social media, never reached out. So when Mikey's staff reached out, I took a pretty, top-down look at it and said, more than likely, I know where I live. I live in Essex County. I kind of have an idea on where these numbers are going to go, even though the red wave was predicted. Even if the red wave happened, it doesn't always reach northern New Jersey. So I kind of had an idea on where this thing was going to go. I did meet with Mikey probably 2 or 3 times, which is almost 2 or 3 times more than Albio was actually ever in Belleville. Mikey was here with me about 4 times, and I sat with her. We had very frank conversations, and she was honest with me, and I was honest with her. But at the end of the day, I don't really give a damn about federal or national politics. I don't care about your policy on abortion. I don't care about your policy on even climate change. I care about whether or not I, as a mayor of an independent town, can actually work with you. And I care whether or not you're going to deliver for Belleville. I care if I pick up the phone and call you, you take that call or you get back to me. And I've had to do that. Listen, we got changed again in the legislative district. I was in the 29th district, and all female delegation, all Democrats. I deal with Democrats at the county level, at the state level, and at the federal level. And I have to say, we have a great, they're no longer going to be in our district. We're now in the 34th, but I had a great working relationship with them. I don't care how you govern in your position, county, state, or federal. I care about how you're going to treat Belleville. I care about, as long as I can represent Belleville well and ask when things need to be asked for and have that communication, that's what I care more about.
And it's interesting because I had interviewed Paul DeGroot a few weeks back. It's disappointing to hear that he had not reached out to you because, a guy who was the underdog clearly in that race wasn't getting as much fundraising dollars as other Republican candidates for House seats. I mean, you would think that he would have reached out to you. Again, a guy that's amenable to backing a Republican, a guy that's amenable to backing someone who has a law enforcement background, that believes in law and order like Paul DeGroot. But it was a weird election cycle. And I'm glad you brought up Mikey Sherrill because certainly she won re-election very convincingly in her district. Republicans, I was hoping for a really big red tsunami. It was barely a ripple. The only House seat that flipped was in CD7. That was the Battle of the Toms. Tom Kane Jr. defeated Tom Malinowski. Obviously, Andy Kim won another term. Bill Pascrell, Frank Pallone. Up here where I live in CD8 in Hudson County, Rob Menendez Jr. won very convincingly. And, these were pretty, again, I look at someone like Rob, and he's a friend of mine, but he's sort of, a middle-of-the-road Democrat. He's not some woke, insane leftist. Congrats to, Josh Gottheimer in CD5 next door in Bergen County. Again, another guy, who's a Democrat who's kind of middle of the road, not like this crazy leftist, like the Puerto Rican princess in New York, right? Like, AOC over there. These are sort of pragmatic Democrats. I found it odd that, Republicans know they're behind the 8 ball during this midterm. Why they want to reach out to a mayor that has considerable influence like you, I think is mind-boggling. So, again, chalk it up to a lesson learned. I think maybe in 2 years, whoever runs in CD 11, I think, right? That's
8. Yes, we were 8, now 11.
Yep. Well, hopefully they'll learn their lesson and reach out to all the mayors accordingly. Michael, it was weird last Tuesday. Obviously, Republicans, from what it looks like today, will have a very slim majority in the House. I think like 219 to 216. I'll take it. The Senate obviously is in a state Democrat, which I was, pretty much expecting. It was kind of a jump ball scenario. Where did Republicans go wrong in New Jersey? It seemed like inflation, food prices, gas prices, an immensely unpopular president. It's funny to me, as I said last Tuesday, people tend to vote with their pockets or vote on kitchen table issues. It seemed like that wasn't the case in New Jersey, and I don't know why.
I mean, I think it was probably the Republican election to lose. I mean, it wasn't just New Jersey. I mean, you look everywhere. I mean, look at Pennsylvania. I mean, that election result for the U.S. Senate was kind of shocking. It really was. But I think it was the Republicans' election to lose. I think that there's this interesting concept. We're hearing it now, especially with the Senate, with Mitch McConnell. Did Mitch really want to win? Are they more comfortable, keeping their legislative or keeping their leadership positions? And that conversation, Fernando, when you and I met for the first time at that Bergen County event, I had this conversation with the state chairman. I said, do Republicans in New Jersey really want to win, or are they content keeping their current posts and their current positions? Because once they win their majority, the deck gets shuffled a bit. And I'm not quite sure that the Republicans are really there that want to win. I think a lot of them are establishment people, and they just are content with where they are. They're content with their leadership positions, even though they might be in the minority. I think it's a shame. I do think there's going to be an ability for the grassroots to wake. I think we saw that a couple of years ago in New Jersey, and I'm hoping that we continue to see that. It's all about grassroots organizing. You're
absolutely right, folks. At 6:21 here on the East Coast. Don't go anywhere. We got a great double main event today. We got a great guest. The editor of the New Jersey Globe, David Wallstein, exclusively joins me at the bottom of the hour, so stay tuned for that. Joining me now live is the distinguished mayor of Belleville, New Jersey, the Honorable Michael Melham. Michael, you hit on something really important there, and I'm with you. And I think it sort of applies to New Jersey as well, where do Republicans really want this? Did they really want to take the ball into the end zone, or were they just happy sort of settling for a field goal? And that's what really bothered me, because I think that, I was one of those guys that I didn't want Joe Biden getting another Supreme Court pick if the opportunity arose. I didn't want him picking more federal judges, or at least nominating them in the Senate, just confirming them. I wanted a Republican majority. That didn't happen. Oh, well. Hopefully Republicans at the national level can maybe go back to the drawing board. I don't know if they will or they can or they won't. I don't know. It remains to be seen. But moving on to next year in 2023, it's a legislative year. All 80 assembly seats are up for grabs. All 40 state Senate seats are up for grabs. And listen, I'm not doing this because I'm not auditioning for a position with the NJGOP. I'm very happy working in higher education. I'm very happy in journalism, doing what I do with my shows. I think Bob Hugin's under the microscope here. I think Bob Hugin, as the chair of the state party, has a lot of work to do. I get it. He can be happy about Tom Kean winning, but it seemed like the NJGOP could have done more to help Paul DeGroot, to help, Bob Healy, to help other Republicans maybe win some seats. And I get it that there was this hysteria about abortion where it's codified in New Jersey and New York, but still it got weaponized. Other things that Republicans, I think, dropped the ball on. Don't even get me started on polling, because that's, I think, a sign is that no longer many people don't trust anymore. It's still valuable. Don't get me wrong. It's still valuable. But I think we have to fine tune a little bit. I think that going into 2023, Republicans made some gains in 21. Ed Durr did the unthinkable in defeating Steve Sweeney, being the state senator down in LD3. Republicans sent, I believe, 7 women to the assembly. I think Republicans have a chance to maybe make some inroads next year during those legislative races. But again, it falls on Bob Hugin. It falls on the NJGOP knocking on doors, reach out to mayors like you with a message that could resonate. I'll be very honest with you. I don't have a lot of faith right now in the NJGOP, but that's because I'm a cynic. Is that fair to say?
I think it is fair to say. I mean, just what I was even saying before. You're totally right. Next year, the House is up. The Assembly's up here in New Jersey. We're in a brand new district for Belleville, so we lose our 29th representation. We go to the 34th. But interesting, as much as you and I met at a Republican Bergen County event, people said to me, well, how come you never speak at a Democrat event? And I say, I've never been asked. It's that simple. I've just never been asked. But interestingly, though, I do have a good relationship with State Chairman Leroy Jones. Leroy and I go to breakfast 3 or 4 times a year. We sit down at the Nevada Diner in Bloomfield, and we have breakfast. And something, Fernando, I've actually never been with Mr. Hugin. I've met him once. I've never had any communication with him. We have no open dialogue. I can't even name the Essex County Republican chairman. And again, I'm an independent mayor who endorsed Jack Chiarelli.
Right there, I'll let you finish. I'm sorry. I'll let you finish. Right there. That is telling me all I need to hear. Again, Bob, you need to put your foot on the pedal here and not be just sort of lackadaisical. Listen, just because election day came and went, you got to get back to work. You got to roll up those sleeves. You got to reach out to mayors like Michael Melham, to other mayors that are independents, or at least, going into next year, don't just say, well, this district's blue, I'm not going to bother. You got to push good candidates. If we learned anything from last Tuesday, is when you run mediocre candidates, and let's be honest, there were a lot of them nationally, you're going to get the result you pay for, as they say. You want to go to the dollar store and get dishwasher liquid? Great. When it doesn't wash your dishes correctly, that's why you buy Palmolive. You got to pay a little bit more money. You get what you pay for. I think that next year, Republicans got to get their act together, Michael, because guess what? They're going to fall into the same rut that we saw last Tuesday. I'm sorry, I'll let you finish, Michael.
No, that's fine. Like we're in the 34th district. We don't have a full slate, so most people don't realize this. We have no senator yet. We have we have 2 assembly people and no senate. The new district that got created. So that's going to be an interesting conversation. You know what? I want a seat at that table. I want to sit down with the chair people that are making the decisions as to who runs or who gets the line. Belleville is now in a position where we are the 3rd largest municipality in the newly created 34th district. And right now we have Assemblyman Caputo. We have another Assemblywoman from East Orange. We have no senator. So if there's 3 slots, if there's going to be a Senate and 2 Assembly slots, and Belleville represents the 3rd largest population in that district, I want to make sure that Belleville has a seat at that table.
Well said. Before I let you go, Mr. Mayor, obviously you are in Atlantic City for the League of Municipalities. I'll be heading down there tomorrow. You know, it's funny because people just think the League of Municipalities is really about all the open bars and the networking and the cocktail parties. And, you know, I go because I like to socialize and, you know, get together with females. That's my thing down there. But there's a lot to be done at the League of Municipalities. During the day, there's wonderful workshops, sure, important networking events. And really, I think as an institution, the League of Municipalities serves a very important role, I think, in local, county, and state government. And I don't think it really gets enough attention, Michael.
It really does. This is actually my 26th year coming down here. I've been doing this a long time. It's not all fun and games. I'm working right now. Tomorrow I'll be speaking. I'm the first mayor in the history of Belleville to actually get a speaking slot at the league. I'm starting off a clean community seminar at 2:00. So it's about networking. It's about seeing my colleagues, about sitting down with them, talking with them, finding out what they're doing in their communities. And it's also about the trade show and seeing the different vendors, seeing all the different equipment that's available. This is it. This is what we do. It's my 26th year. I'm proud to be here, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'll make sure to text you tomorrow. Let's try to grab a beer or a bite to eat or something in the next couple of days, Michael. You're great to talk to, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, I wish I could talk to you for 2 more hours. We still wouldn't get through everything. But before I let you go, I want to thank you for your time. I know you've slowly but surely have become a fan of the show quietly. That might piss off some of your liberal friends, but I think you've become a fan of the show. So I thank you for that. I thank you for your appearance. And I'll give you the last word here tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been the honor. Like you said, it's been a great time. Every time we've met, we've had some great conversations, some frank conversation. I like the fact that you cater to people from both sides. I'm somebody that's kind of down the middle of the road. As I often say, I'm used to getting hit by cars on both sides. So it's nice to be as warmly received as I was tonight. Thank you.
I'm hit from every side as well, Michael. Folks, he is the distinguished mayor of Belleville, New Jersey, the Honorable Michael Melham, joining us here tonight on Jersey First TV on Real Talk with Fernando. Mr. Mayor, I'll see you in Atlantic City this week for the league. And thank you so much for supporting Jersey First TV.
Thank you.
Take care.